Liverpool are knocked out of Europe and go out with a whimper. Atalanta deserve victors over the two legs. Liverpool had the perfect start, a penalty from Mohamed Salah to put us 1 goal to the good, and it looked like things were potentially trending in the right direction. But ultimately, that was a pathetic second half display. Our manager had zero tactics to answer Gasparini's man-on-man marking in the second half, and we were just left to hit and hope. And I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear from the players. I don't want to hear from the manager. I don't want to hear anything about responses, reactions, any crap that we've been subjected to. They accepted their fate in that second half. And all this talk about going out in the most beautiful way is just that, talk. Because talk is cheap and they didn't perform. I don't know if they've checked out mentally because Klopp's leaving. I don't know if Klopp's tactics were to blame. But what I do know is that was a game that could have been won by 3-0 had we had the stones to go out there and do it. But we didn't. Second 45 minutes, I don't even remember us giving Atalanta too much to think about. They cruised through to the semi-final, and full congratulations to them. They deserved their victory over two legs. Their fans were fantastic. The players gave their all. They have a great coach in Gasparini, and I wish them nothing but the best moving forward. But again, for us, it's just pathetic. I've no other words to use other than pathetic. Look, we'll all have our own reasons as to why we think things ended that way. But for me, a massive turning point was the missed Salah opportunity. Now, I'm not trying to say that Salah's the reason we didn't win the game, or we did win the game, but we didn't turn around the tie. But it did shift the momentum. You know, you get the great start from the penalty, and fair play to Mo, we stepped up and buried it. But you cannot be missing those chances. That ball was just simply lifted over the keeper, and we're 2-0 up, and Atalanta start to panic, and we've a big 45 ahead of us, and we can be that little bit more tactical, we could be that little bit more creative, we could be a bit more patient. But the second half, all that we did was hit and hope, and there was no rhyme or reason to it. We weren't methodical, we didn't look to get round wide areas, we didn't look to create overloads, we did nothing. We did nothing but boot the ball from front to back or pass it around at the back and waste time. It was nothing short of embarrassing. I don't understand the lack of urgency in that second 45 minutes. We are allergic to playing through a press, said Dewey. Honestly, I don't know what to say, mate, because you're right. We didn't look like we wanted to go out there and force a will on the game. It was hit and hope. Second balls, pray for something. You know, we all screamed that we wanted substitutions. We got substitutions, but let's be honest, didn't do anything, did it? Didn't make any change. Darwin didn't change that, and Jota didn't change that, and Elliott didn't change that. And I understood why Klopp took Trent off. Absolutely understood that. That's the one change I can see where he came from. He's got 70 minutes in his legs. He's coming back from injury. I'm sure the medical department said that's all he can do. And Trent gave a big effort out there. But where's the leaders? Where's the nous? Where's the experience? Nowhere. And that's what's disappointing about it, because we could have done this. We could have turned this around. We could be sitting here now looking at another momentous European night, but instead we're left now hoping for a slip up from Manchester City. The season's petered into a nothing. I've had more fun watching paint dry, said Matt. Izzy said, odd performance, hope you're doing well nonetheless. I'm pretty angry at the minute, Izzy, to be honest with you, mate. Not at you, of course, my friend, but to see your manager standing there with a stupid looking smirk on his face when his team are crashing out of Europe with a whimper, I don't know, lads. It boils my blood, it does. Love from Westchester, New York. We need Ruben now, said Sadish Edwards. Thank you, mate, for your comment and your membership chat. Yeah, it's disappointing. And I'd love to know what was said in there at half time, because there was no plan. Like, what did we do in that second half? From the moment the second half kicked off, we didn't look like there was any structure. We didn't look like we were trying to play through the lines. We didn't look like we were trying to create overloads. Honestly, I'm at a loss to try and figure out what the plan was. Bumbadog said, players on autopilot and looking like they're planning their next club, being trounced as of late and nobody to lift us up. Klopp's time has ended. Honestly, your streams have been the only good thing about this season, said Armando. Mate, that's lovely of you. Thank you so much. Appreciate in a moment like this, mate, for you to say something kind like that. Thank you. It's just terrible. Terrible. And it's just another disappointment. I said something a long time ago, and I have to stand over what I said. I said when we won the Carling Cup, or the Carabao Cup as it's now called, that's great and all. It's lovely to get a trophy away early doors in the season. But I said it then, and I'm going to say it now. Not winning one of the big two is a failure of a season. From the positions we've been in, to not do it is honestly going to be heartbreaking. And Jurgen's time at the club is going to end with a whimper. And as for that parade, just don't. Just don't. Klopp needs to be celebrated, of course. His time at Liverpool needs to be marked. But nobody wants a tin pot parade with a Carabao Cup. Give Klopp a send-off in a different way. That parade has to be knocked on the head. And I tell you what, there's some players there who need their heads banged together as well. To not make the final at a minimum is disgraceful, said Daniel Nelson. Does this give the other teams the blueprint to beat Liverpool, said Zeus? Yes. They showed in the first leg the blueprint to beat Liverpool. And that's what they reverted to in the second half of the game. You know, Atalanta managed themselves and their tactics really well over two legs. And nobody, even the most hardcore Liverpool fan, can deny they deserve their place in the semi-final. And as I said, nothing but respect to them. But I'm just sick of these. Some of these lads are living off reputation now. And they just are. Look, there's no one person responsible for that. But we do need changes. And I don't care what anybody says. It's time to sell Salah. And we need to really have a long think about what's going on with Van Dijk. Because this passive, slow, bullshit leadership, at the very least, the armband needs to get taken off Virgil. Because a leader he is not. A performer, a great centre-back, absolutely. Somebody who can defend admirably. But he's not a leader. He isn't. And I don't care what anybody says. I've seen enough passive nonsense from Virg to know there's no leadership going on there. It's disappointing. Because you want your senior players to stand up in moments like this. And they didn't. And it's disappointing yet again. To have to look to Jayden Danns there, a young kid, to maybe salvage something. And even at that, he gave him 11 minutes. You know, Klopp's changes need to be held to account because they have been horrendous. We've been out-thought by Gasperini over the two legs and there was no response from us. Once Gasperini made those tweaks in a half-time and went man-to-man, we had nothing. Nothing. No response. We lost our battles. We didn't create. It was just empty, devoid of anything. Never seen a team dominate possession so much as us and get battered. Defence woeful, attack clueless, said Gary. Craig, I think Robbo should be captain, said Fraser. I've said that for a very long time. I wouldn't mind a show for Alexis McAllister either. And look, I'm not saying we get rid of Virg. I want to make sure people understand where I'm going. I just don't think he's a leader. I don't think he should be the captain. Whether he stays at the club or not, look, that's a Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes situation to resolve. I'm ready for a fresh new start, players and manager, said Maddie. Salah is a legend, but it comes a time where legends depart. Exactly, Neddy. Exactly, mate. He is a legend, and what he's done at this club will never be questioned by anybody. But his best days are done. They're behind him. He's not doing it anymore. And if you want to be paid like one of the best players in the world, you need to perform like one of the best players in the world. And the best players in the world show up on the big occasions. And today, our leaders, our senior players, they did not manage that game well. And look, the manager needs to hold his hands up here as well. Again, for all the good stuff that Jurgen has done, and my God, there's been a lot of it, he's let this season get away from us. And there's no denying that. You know, to have taken 5 or lost 5 points out of a possible 6 in the league, to be knocked out of Europe with a whimper when you got the ideal start with that penalty. and we didn't score from open play. 2 legs, 180 minutes against Atalanta, and we didn't score a single goal from open play. That's pathetic. You don't deserve to go through with that. You know, we kept a clean sheet tonight, which is, I guess if you're looking for some positive, that's it. But that's more because Atalanta just didn't overcommit. It feels like Klopp's spirit has already left, said John Williams. Opponents don't even need a blueprint to beat Liverpool now, just need to show up. Gasperini didn't do anything special. Palace 2, said Speed Touch. Yeah. And the season has just faded away into nothing. From what really annoys me is the league situation. Just think, we could be sitting here now, out of Europe, heartbroken, but still knowing we'd be a point clear at the top of the Premier League. But we lost at home to Crystal Palace. Make that make sense. We lost at home to Crystal Palace on a weekend where Arsenal got beaten by Villa, and we could be now 1 point clear at the top of the Premier League, saying 6 games to go, we win those 6 games and we're champions. But we're not saying that. We're saying we hope Manchester City slip up somewhere. Not good enough. It's not good enough. You can say we overachieved this season, and I understand where you're coming from, but that doesn't... It's about finishing strongly. It's about peaking at the right time. You can look at Klopp's announcement. I don't know whether that was the right time or not. I'm not a clever enough person to figure that out. But I know that the response faded away very quickly. Poor corners and free kicks. We need new coaches as well for these positions. I can't understand what we do on the training pitch. Everything is always the same. Teams figure us out easily, said Nessie. Everybody needs a head shake except Cody, Trent and Ali, said Harry Klein. Little blame to Klopp, our players can't score. No, sorry man, I would respectfully disagree with you there. Klopp did nothing to change it. You know, Gasperini, look at the change he made at halftime and the difference that had to the second half. Where was our reaction to it? Other than to make a 3-for-3 like change, what did we do? We did not look to play through the lines. We didn't look to create space. We just were hitting and hoping, begging for a second ball. And as somebody correctly said, set pieces were trash today. Need to go back to Brendan Rodgers, sit back and counter-attack tactics now in these league games to win the remaining games, said Owen Dunn. It's just really, really soul-destroying that we are here. A season that had the potential for so much has again faded into insignificance, and I don't know who to blame. I don't know, but I know I'm heartbroken again. And yeah, I feel like it is time for a change. I just wish it ended better. The team lacked passion the last couple of weeks, said Mike Carringer. I miss Mane and Firmino, said Joel Joshi. Any skipper here is like pushing an elephant up a flight of stairs, said Paul Baker. Leverkusen will win it, probably. Okay, Rachel, no problem. Sorry to see you go as well, my friend, but I understand. Look out for yourself. Whatever you think is best for you, Rachel. I completely get where you're coming from. Wish you nothing but the best, my friend. Winning League Cup was the worst thing to happen. I don't think I could agree with that. I mean, there are moments this season that we can all look back on and pinpoint. But ultimately, there's just been too much talking from the players and the manager without enough action. I agree with all of you. I don't know what we do on the training pitch. I don't know what the plan was in that second half. I don't know. We just accepted our fate again too easily. You know, let's be honest, nobody in that team looked like they believed we were going to turn that round in that second 45 minutes. Winning the League Cup is the worst thing to happen. We've done that one. Peter Kavanagh said, that was pathetic stuff. See Klopp smile on his face. Just got my goat up. Had enough of these players. Peter, I'm with you, mate. That smirk Look, I'm sure it's a reflex action. I'm sure it's his way of letting out frustration without screaming and shouting, but it isn't half frustrating to see, is it? You know, because none of us are smiling after what we've seen. Heads are folded, said Kona Shackley. Pass sideways and backwards, rinse and repeat, said Phil Cox. Phil, I can't disagree with you, my man, because that's what happened. Like, in that second half, it looked like we were the ones who were... Leave the smirk aside, please. No, I'm entitled to an opinion as well, Derek. And my opinion was, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like seeing a smirk, even if it's a reactionary one, mate. It bugs me. But not as much as that passive second half performance bugs me. And it's not all on Klopp. Of course it's not. It's on those players as well. But yeah, I think the word that comes to mind is change. Change is needed. Some change of personnel. Some change of ideas. Yeah, looks like this team is fizzling out. And Klopp is not getting the send-off that we all hope for. Alright, some more of your comments. I'm just looking forward to moving in with new ideas, fresh approach, and of course with Anfield Agenda for the years to come. Disgusting people want Klopp out already, said Dewey. People are often reactionary, Dewey, at the end of a game and emotional. And look, nobody seriously thinks Klopp's going to be departing before his contract's up. But I would say this to you, Dewey, in fairness to the fans, it wasn't the club that gave up on Klopp. He made the decision to leave the club. And like somebody said to us the other day, I don't know what was said to those players that were signing in the summer. I don't know if they thought they were signing for 3 more years of Jurgen Klopp. But I do know that he made that decision, and that decision shocked us all. The club, the players. So I find it very hard right now to really have sympathy for the manager when yeah, I'm going to just leave it at that because I don't want to say anything I can't take back. Fidget06 said, as a Chelsea fan, I hope Liverpool end the season well. It looks like Salah burned out of gas. Time to leave, said Ryan O'Connell. Look, I'm going to say this again. I said early in the season, sell Salah, and other fan content creators, other Liverpool fans, all called me an embarrassment. Said to me, selling Salah, I'd never say that. That's ridiculous. I know what I was seeing. I knew I wasn't seeing the same player. And this argument of it's hate or anything other than based off performances is just unfair. I did a poll and 70% of our fans in our group want Salah sold. So I just wish people would be a little bit less toxic towards me when I say these things, because it's my opinion and I stand over it. And Salah hasn't been good enough this year. And his stats have been padded by penalties and the business end of the season. When he's had 3 months out between the AFCON and an injury, he's disappeared. And he hasn't stepped up. And he hasn't shown that he's one of the best players in the world anymore. And that's not up for debate. So I was right. I take no pleasure in saying it, but I knew what I was seeing. You don't live off a reputation in sport. You build a reputation, and if you're not at the top level, football's a ruthless business. It's time to move on. It's time to make a change. Salah's got to go in the summer. Verge, I'm on the fence because I still think overall this season Verge has been more good than bad. We've rotated this lot season, so we shouldn't really be tired either, which is concerning, says Mohad. This would have been a perfect game for Gravenberch. He thrives best receiving the ball under pressure and carrying the ball up, which is vital in the game. I'm really at a loss as to what Elliott and Gravenberch have done to Klopp. Honestly, Elliott's been criminally underused at times, and as you said, Gravenberch hasn't even got a sniff. I don't know. We don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes, but what was Gravenberch done to being completely put out in the cold lately? I would have sold Salah last summer, said Greg Douglas. VVD is captain material. I disagree, but I respect your opinion. VVD is a great defender, and I don't think he's done as a defender. But I just don't like his style of captaincy. But it's a personal thing. So I do respect your opinion. Hen 6, 1-4. There's no chemistry in the team because of so many changes, said the Frost. I don't agree with selling Salah. Again, Mohammed, that's your preference and that's your viewpoint, sir, and I respect it. I think ultimately it'll be taken out of all of our hands because I think Michael Edwards will sell Salah. And look, let's be honest, Mohammed, with all due respect, do you think that man deserves a pay rise? Because if he signs a new deal, he'll want a pay rise. And the way I look at these things is maybe a bit too simplistic, but if you want a pay rise, it's because you're getting better. He's not. He deserved the contract he got. And I said it at the time and I'll say it again. If the wage structure was to be broken for one man, Mohamed Salah was the man that deserved that. But there's no way on earth he deserves a pay increase now. Not a chance. And I think if anybody feels his best days aren't behind him, I think that they're letting their heart rule their heads. Because, yes, he can contribute. He will pop up with goals. He will have some assists. But he isn't the same player he was 2-3 years ago. He just isn't. He doesn't impact games the same way. Devastated here, Craig. It's like these times we regret not signing a right winger, said Adzer. Klopp has no tactics but to just boot the ball up. I mean, it was frustrating and there wasn't any tactics or rhythm in that game at all, particularly in the second half. He wasn't bad today in the mid, but missing is crazy. No, I think he had a decent first 45. I thought he worked hard. I thought he looked a bit fitter than he had in previous games, Mo. Tucked away the penalty really well. But that miss seemed to just sap the life out of us. Now, of course, players miss chances, and I'm not trying to scapegoat Mo for the performance, but it felt like the team just deflated a little bit after that missed chance because they never looked likely after that. January was a missed opportunity, said J.M. Barco. Alisson, 200 touches. And that was another weird thing. Alisson seemed to be playing like we were 3 or 4-0 up there with the ball at his feet. And you probably heard me say this so many times during the game, but nobody was showing. None of those players were given options to other players in possession. The amount of times that Diaz or Jones or any of our centre-backs had the ball and there was no one there. Not an option. Nobody moving into space. It was frustrating because all that happened was the defender and the centre-backs were knocking it back between themselves and nobody was showing. Nobody. Craig, the real reason Klopp's leaving is because the owner signed a deal with Amazon to put cameras behind the change rooms. I mean, everything about that sentence is wrong. Firstly, it's going to be on Disney+. Secondly, do you think Klopp would have agreed to it? If, because it is about his last months at the club. So I disagree with your premise. I'm not disagreeing that maybe... I've never believed his relationship with the owners is as good as people lead us to believe. I've never believed that, really. But I disagree on that, as I said, for factual reasons and for logical reasons. I just don't think that's the case. Are we winning the next 2 games? Any positives to take? We've 6 games left this season, and what that did do, it robbed us of another 3 games in our season. That's one thing, We've no Dublin, no European final in my home city to look forward to. It's 6 league games and we're done. That's it. We've 6 games left. And we need something to happen in our favour. Nothing is in our own hands anymore. And it's hard to be optimistic at the moment. Barry Taylor, how are you, Barry? He said, hi Craig, another tough night. Decent first half. Another huge miss to go 2-0 up. Second half, Trent's radar misfired, I think. I think he was tired, Barry, to be fair, Trent, in the second half. I could understand that change. You couldn't push him for more than 70. And Trent worked really hard out there. I thought he got up and down that right flank really admirably. I thought his passing looked a lot better than the other day when he came on. And I've loads of understanding for the fact he's coming back from injury. Yeah, it's just frustrating, man. It's heartbreaking stuff. I'm very worried for Fulham, says Mervyn. I don't even know what to be worried about anymore because ultimately if we do lose a game or two, it's probably not going to make much of a difference at this point. We need City to, at the very least, draw a game, and we need to improve the goal difference. So I'm not that worried about Fulham at this point, to be honest with you, because best case scenario at this point, I think we're in a street with Arsenal for a second, unless something dramatic happens with City. And I don't know how their departure from the Champions League will affect them. I don't know. It just feels like a season of what ifs and little moments that we didn't manage correctly. You know, look at it this way. First game at Anfield, Szoboszlai giving away that ball for the third goal. If you didn't do that, 2-0, maybe that's a more achievable one. Maybe that penalty puts Atalanta under pressure. I don't know. A lot of us didn't agree with the starting 11 today from Jurgen. I mean, let's have a look at some of the stats from our friends at Lineup Builder. Liverpool had 70% possession away from home to Atlanta's 30. 10 shots from Liverpool today with 5 on target. 8 shots from Atalanta with 2 on target. Liverpool had one corner away from home, chasing it in Europe. 681 passes to 285 from Atalanta. Passing accuracy, Liverpool were at 83%, Atalanta 64%. Tackles 23 from Atalanta, 15 from Liverpool. XG 1.34 to 0.55. You're not going to turn around the European tie with those stats, you know. Didn't create anything really in that second half. And that's what really frustrates me, is that we did nothing to change it in the second half. Did their keeper really make a save? Like, I'm sure that there was a ball that trickled through to him, but I can't think of a save that he had to make. Stephen Brennan, thank you for the super sticker, mate. The losing streak continues. Well, technically it doesn't, mate. We won the game. We lost the tie, so the losing streak doesn't continue. But it doesn't mean it's any less frustrating. We done well to get where we were after last season, bro. Look, it's definitely an improvement on last season, mate. And, you know, making sure we're back in the Champions League is a big plus for next year. Undoubtedly. But, you know, it's how you look at it. Do we look at it from what we would have taken in the summer, which, you know, this position in the league I probably would have. But when you get close, when you're in the lead, when you have the league title in your own hand with 8-9 games to go, a winnable draw in the Europa League, I mean, it's hard not to feel disappointed. Lex Huncho, thank you for the super chat. You didn't put a comment in, but appreciate you. Bulgars taste salty. I'll have to take your word for that. Said Salah is mentally checked out. I wonder if he's been told he won't be getting an extension. Connor Shackley, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. Endo, Harvey, Gravenberg for Sunday, dynamic and energetic. I don't see why not, Callum. Should look to the future, and you know, those guys are the future. Well, maybe not Endo so much, but yeah, he'll be fresh anyway. It was a very Chelsea-esque game, a little too slow, said Nikolai Courtney. Yeah, there was just nothing. You know, we spoke about at half-time what we needed to do in the second half. And we wondered what Klopp would say in there and what the players would say. But we came out and, nothing. You know, Gasperini made the tweaks he needed to make, and they coped very well, very easily. And, you know, their fans probably couldn't believe how easy that second 45 was for them. Trent was terrible. He wasn't. Not at all. If you don't understand that was impressive stuff from Trent, who has had a handful of minutes after being out for a good while. He put in a great shift, Trent, today. I'm sorry, I can't agree with you on that. I thought Trent was decent. If you win the league, is this season a success? Of course. One of the two from the Europa and the Premier League was the measuring stick. Look, what is the one phrase I've said to all of you, and regular viewers of the channel or long-time viewers will know. I've said one thing about Jurgen Klopp's era at the club. One thing. That what I don't want is to look back on Jurgen Klopp's time at the club and ask what may have been. And there's been too many of those now. Too many. Like, we've won 2 League Cups and one of everything else in a time where we're probably talking about the best Liverpool team of certainly my adult lifetime. It feels like we've underachieved during that time. Look, winning a league title is amazing, and getting that 30-year hoodoo off our back is brilliant. Winning the European Cup is amazing. But it doesn't feel like enough. It feels like we left some on the table, some silverware, and it's just saddening to see. Changes should have came at half-time, said Lex Huncho. Kona Shackley said, all we can do is hope the results we've seen over the last 24 hours from other top teams have an effect on them at the weekend. Yep, I agree, mate. I agree. Look, I'm going to go record the player ratings video. But again, thank you for joining me tonight. We didn't get the turnaround that we'd hoped for. And again, congratulations to Atalanta. I wish them every success moving forward. Keep an eye out for the player ratings video coming up. Don't forget to check out the Anfield Agenda Clips channel as well. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do before you head off. It's 6 games left under Jurgen Klopp, and who knows if there's a twist or turn to go. But tonight was a deflating night. So stay safe, be well, and thank you for your support of the channel. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.